what do I want to talk about today? I've got a few things. First of all, I just want to provide clarity. Hopefully, most of you will have read within the Facebook group yesterday that we had final or clarity from the Ministry of Housing regarding completions. And that clearly stated that the home buyers and renters, we should, far as possible, delay moving whilst emergency measures are in place to fight the spread of the virus. But if moving is unavoidable for contractual reasons, or the parties are unable to reach and agree to delay, then we must follow advice on social distancing to minimise the spread. The only thing I would say is make sure your sellers and your buyers are talking to their respective solicitors so we can make sure that that all goes ahead as planned. What else came out overnight? So each time there's any change to premises that can close and can open, the government send out a new sort of information leaflet. And this one came out last night. There isn't really any changes dramatically that impact us. Just a couple of bits of interest. So interestingly now, other food and drinking establishments, including those within hotels and members clubs, have now been advised that they must close. But very interestingly, when you compare yesterday's to today's, massage parlours can now open. Now, what I'm not sure is whether massage parlour travel would be classed as essential or not. But I will leave one for you to all decide on whether that is essential travel or not. So, importantly, there's been an awful lot of talk around sort of serving notices on tenants, and the talk in England where that notice period has been extended from 2 months to 3 months. We now have the new Form 6A, which is already loaded into the Members Hub for you. And this is what should now be used for any notice that you want to serve on a tenant until the 30th of September 2020. Now remember, this is England only. In Wales, they're still under their original Section 21 notice, and similar within Northern Ireland. So until those devolved parliaments issue any guidance, this Section 6A notice applies to England only. The only change that I can see is literally where the notice period has been extended from 2 months to 3 months, and everything else is as it was before. So you've got to make sure 4 months have passed. You've got to make sure that the landlord the tenant has been provided with the relevant information on energy performance, gas safety, and the how to rent guide. So nothing else has changed other than the notice period. So this is for any notices that you now serve until the 30th of September. So make sure you use the right form. As I said, it's in the Members Hub. Make sure you use that. But if anybody can't get access to it or they need a copy, then just email me direct. Now, I've had a couple of agents ring to say, what do we do if a tenant rings us to say they are not going to pay the rent? And what I'm adding into the Members Hub is just some little tips from me. And I think, first of all, you should be thanking them for letting you know, because the minute somebody can't pay, it's really important that they notify you, so that at least then you can start to offer them some advice on what they need to do. They also need to understand that they're under contractual obligation to pay the landlord that rent, and that isn't going to disappear. So there's no funding coming from government to cover their rent payments. They will need to make up those payments as any normal arrears situation would. Thirdly, I think you need to understand the reason why they can't pay their rent. What circumstances have changed? Have they been laid off work because of the virus? Are they caring for a vulnerable person? Are they on reduced hours? Are they being forced to take some unpaid leave? What are the genuine circumstances which suddenly mean that last month they could make the payments and this month they're not able to make those payments? So understand the reason why that is now in the position they are in. Secondly, understand what they're looking for. Are they looking for a reduction in what they pay on a monthly basis, or are they looking to say we can't afford it at all? And if they can't afford it at all or want a reduction, what period of time are they looking for? Do they want this for 3 months, for a couple of months, longer than that? And then start to talk to them about their plans on when things return back to normal, what's their plans for recovering on that money, the arrears that they owe. So establish why they're in that position as they are now, and talk to them about how they're going to recover from that when we're through all of this. It's then really important to offer them a couple of websites, and that's Citizens Advice and Shelter. They are the organisations that can provide the tenants with advice on what to do and what actions they may wish to look at where they're in a position where they can't afford to pay the rent. Both of those websites, and those specific websites that link to people that can't afford or struggling to pay as a result of coronavirus, they will all be within this document within the Members Hub. So make sure you have a read of that. Don't offer your tenants too much advice. It should be these organisations that are independent that are offering the advice to your tenants. But more importantly, make sure they keep you informed. Make sure they tell you of any changes in their circumstances, so at least you're aware of it and you can be letting your landlord know. So when you know what their position is, why they're in that position, what they're looking for, then it's time to start talking to your landlord. And I think it's important that your landlord understands that you know what options they have available to them. Now, if they have a mortgage, there is a possibility that they can talk to their lender and get a 3-month holiday period on those mortgage payments. That's one option to them. Second option is that they can agree to a deferred payment or a holiday period. But they need to understand that if they do that, when are they going to get the money for the arrears that have been built up over that period of time. And above all, it's really important to let your landlord know that whilst you can serve a Section 21 notice to gain possession, that notice period is now 3 months. And then if the tenant fails to move out at the end of that period, you're going to have to go through the court process, which I would imagine the court process will be really full with all these deferred evictions are going to take place. So be open and transparent with your landlord. Encourage your tenant to be exactly the same. And the more we can start talking to people, the more we can start trying to help tenants through this very difficult period, and also your landlords through this difficult period. So all those documents that I've just referred to are within the Members Hub. Go along, have a read of them, and come back to me if you've got any queries.